Sharma. I hope you all are keeping fine at home. Look at what I am having today for you. You can see this electronic circuit that we used in Alu machine at our home. You can see different electrical components are there. Capacitors are there, the resistor are there, thermistor are there, diodes are there. So students, we are discussing about semiconductor. So these all materials or all electrical components that is inbuilt on this PCB circuit is associated with the semiconductor material. So today's our topic is semiconductor devices. Dear students, today we are going to discuss our physics unit 9 semiconductor devices, which is very important chapter. So today we are going to start with this following content of this chapter. First of all, we will discuss introduction. Why do we need semiconductor? Silicon crystal structure, concept of holes, conduction current, energy band theory, and these topics. So first of all, why do we need semiconductor? We have already studied conductor and insulator. As you know that those material which allow electricity to flow through them are called conductors. For example, copper, aluminum, iron, etc. Insulators are those material which do not allow electricity to flow through them. For example, glass, wood, plastic, etc. Now what about semiconductor? Those material whose characteristics lies in between the conductor and insulator are called semiconductor. So why do we need semiconductor? No. One thing we want to discuss that we have studied about the Ohm's law, in which we have discussed when voltage increases, current also increases. Means it follow linear relation. But in some electronic devices, we need the controlled amount of current. For that, we need semiconductor, in which relation may be like this. You are increasing the voltage, but at some instant current not increases, then it suddenly increases, or in a controlled way. So if somebody asks you why do we need semiconductor, answer is pretty clear. The answer is to control the flow of charge, or to control the flow of electric current, we need semiconductor. Now we are using semiconductor in different places. For example, in your smartphone you are using semiconductor, laptops, tablets, advanced medical technologies, and we are also using in space technologies. So we are having a variety of applications of semiconductor. What are the examples of semiconductor? Silicon, germanium, gallium, arsenide, these are the examples of semiconductor. Okay, now let's try to understand about this silicon crystal structure. Before that, I want to give you a brief history about semiconductor. That first semiconductor was discovered and studied by Michael Faraday in 1833. After that, Carl Braun studied the different effects of semiconductor in 1874. Before that, we have used vacuum diodes, triodes, tetrodes and pentodes, but it was very difficult to control the flow of charge through these devices. So ultimately we got the semiconductor, which has changed the entire electronics. It can do the switching work, energy conversion work and amplification. So let's try to understand how it works actually. So let's try to discuss about the silicon crystal structure. Silicon is used as a semiconductor material. So let's try to understand about silicon. Silicon is basically belongs to fourth group of periodic table, which is having an atomic number of 14. When we are discussing about the electronic distribution of silicon atom, then it will be 2, 8 and 4. In the first shell, they are having 2 electrons, then 8 electrons. In the last outermost shell, it is having 4 electrons. Now you have already studied chemistry about these orbits and shells. This is the SPDF shells you have studied in the chemistry. So let's try to understand the electronic configuration of the silicon. 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2, 3p2. Here you can see that first S orbit is already filled, P orbit is already filled, but in the last case you can see more 4 electron can come there. So silicon is basically tetravalent in nature. We just see the structure, crystalline structure of the silicon. You can see here, one silicon atom is having 4 electrons in its outermost shell. They share or they make the relation or they do the participation with the another silicon atom, and they form a structure which is known as the crystalline structure, which is similar to diamond. When we see this structure in the expanded form, then it will become like this. This is the expanded form silicon structure that we have to study. Now what will happen? Let's try to understand the concept of hole and concept of conduction current. Okay, let's start with the concept of hole. As you know that when this silicon is at below room temperature, means 0 Kelvin temperature. So suppose absolute temperature is 0 Kelvin. Then the covalent bonds, all the covalent bonds are tightly made with each other atoms. Then what happens if we are going to increase the temperature? What will happen? If we are going to increase the temperature, the oscillation will start continuously. Then this covalent bond breaks and electrons start moving from this point. As the electrons start moving, here a hole creates. Similarly, that time another electron is removing from this particular point because electrons is continuously emitting from that particular point. So that electron is starting moving towards this hole. So there is a motion of electrons and there is a motion of holes. When electron is moving this side, holes are moving that side. So in such a way, the current is produced due to the combined effect of electron as well as hole. That's why I have written here I is equal to IE plus IH. That net current is flow due to the electrons and due to the holes. That is called conduction current. Now we are going to discuss about energy band theory. What is energy band theory? Energy band theory plays an important role whenever we are studying the conductors, insulators and semiconductors. So what is energy band theory? As you all know that all the materials are basically made up of different types of atoms. And atoms comprises of protons, neutrons and electrons. Protons and neutrons are there in the center, nucleus, and the electrons revolve in the orbits of the atoms. We can see a diagram here in which a nucleus is there in the center and these orbits are there. So electrons are revolving in these orbits. So each electron that is associated with the atom pertaining to an energy level. So if we are talking about any particular element, suppose we are talking about silicon, then there are large number of atoms are there in the crystalline structure. So each atom is corresponding or associated with the energy level. So when these energy levels are very close to each other, then they form a band. We can see this diagram. There are the number of parallel lines you are able to see. This is nothing but the parallel lines indicate the different energy level possessed by the different electrons in the outer shell of that electron, of that atom. So different lines of parallel which are very close to each other, different energy levels, when together form, they make a band. So there are two types of band. First one is valence band, another one is conduction band. Now the question arises, what is valence band? The energy level associated with valence electron. What is valence electron? Those electron which is available in the outermost shell or valence shell is called valence electron. So the energy level associated with valence electron are called valence band. What about conduction band? When these valence electrons get sufficient energy, they start ejecting from that surface and they reach to the conduction band. So conduction band is that band whose energy level is associated with conduction electrons or the free electrons that gets removed from the conduction band. Now let's talk about the valence band, conduction band, and let's talk about the forbidden gap. What is forbidden gap? Actually, there is a gap between a valence band and conduction band. In case of semiconductor and insulator, that gap is known as forbidden energy gap. One more term is there, that is Fermi level. What is Fermi level? The maximum amount of energy required by electron in a given energy band at 0 Kelvin temperature is called Fermi level. Now let's try to understand the different energy band diagram for conductors, semiconductor and insulator. In case of conductor, the valence band is just overlapping conduction band. Means there is very less gap or almost negligible gap is there between the valence band and conduction band. So electron can easily move from valence band to conduction band. So conductivity is possible there. But whenever we are talking about semiconductor, then there is a very less gap. Comparatively, insulator, it has a less gap. Or comparatively conductor, it is more gap, that is something around the order of 1 electron volt. So when these valence electron gets sufficient energy, they start jumping from valence band to conduction band and responsible for the conductivity. What about insulators, they are having a large gap between the valence band and conduction band, around an order of 10 electron volt. That's why the conductivity is not possible in case of insulator. So on the behalf of energy band theory, we can distinguish between the conductors, semiconductors and insulators. How conductivity among these three, conductors, semiconductor and insulators, arises. Now let's try to understand the different concepts with respect to valence band and conduction band. In valence band, electrons are there having a valency. In terms of conduction band, they are just the electrons that gets imaged from the valence band and responsible for the conductivity. So we are able to understand about the valence band and conduction band. Hope you all are able to understand what about these bands, and we have got the concept of these. Wish you very all the best.